I played 10 different browser FPS games, and honestly, only a few of them actually feel competitive. Some are surprisingly good, and some are just not worth your time. I tested 10 browser FPS games based on aim, movement, and how competitive they actually feel. Not just random fun shooters. Let's start from the worst and work our way up to the best. At number 10, Paint Strike. The idea is actually pretty interesting. It reminds me a bit of Splatoon, but the execution just isn't there yet. Movement feels slow, and the gunplay isn't as satisfying. It's a cool concept, just not very competitive right now. At number 9, Poxel. It's not a bad game, but it does feel a bit early in its development. The mechanics are pretty simple, and it doesn't quite have the depth you'd expect from a competitive FPS still. It has some potential if it gets more polished. At number 8, Chicken CS. This one tries to capture that classic FPS feel, and it does a decent job in some areas. It's easy to jump into, but it still feels like it needs more depth to really stand out competitively. At number 7, Chicken Strike. Compared to Chicken CS, this one feels more polished and a bit more enjoyable to play. The mechanics are smoother, and it's easy to jump into for quick matches. But when it comes to competitive depth, it still has some room to grow. At number 6, Hazmob. This one clearly aims to deliver a more traditional FPS experience, with realistic gunplay and structured gameplay. There are moments where it feels smooth and enjoyable, especially during gunfights. But overall, the experience can feel a bit inconsistent, which makes it harder to rely on in a competitive setting. It definitely has potential, it just needs a bit more refinement. At number 5, Cryzen. This one was a bit of a surprise. The shooting mechanics feel clean and responsive, and matches can actually feel competitive at times. It's one of the better mid-tier games on this list, but it still lacks deeper mechanics. At number 4, Shell Shockers. This is one of the most well-known browser FPS games, and it's very easy to get into. It runs smoothly, feels polished, and has a consistently active player base, which makes matchmaking quick and accessible. The gameplay is more casual-focused compared to the higher-ranked games on this list, so it doesn't emphasize competitive depth as much. It's still a solid option for quick matches and casual play. At number 3, EVIO. This is where things start getting more competitive. Movement is smooth, gunplay feels responsive, and the ability system adds an extra layer of depth. However, the player base is smaller compared to the bigger browser FPS games, so matches can feel less consistent depending on the time of day. Still, gameplay-wise, this is one of the more solid competitive options. At number 2, Krunker. This is one of the most mechanically demanding browser FPS games on this list. The movement system, especially slide hopping, adds a lot of depth and allows skilled players to move extremely fast across the map. Because of that, the game has a very high skill ceiling. Players who master the mechanics can consistently outperform others. However, it does take time to get used to, and there's a noticeable learning curve for new players. And at number 1, Deadshot. This is the closest thing to a true competitive FPS experience in a browser right now. The gunplay is clean and responsive, the modes are well structured, and the overall gameplay consistently rewards skill. Compared to the other games on this list, it feels the most complete and competitive. If you want a serious browser FPS, this is the one to go for. So that's my ranking of 10 browser FPS games in 2026. Honestly, I didn't expect some of these games to be this competitive, while others really need improvement. If you've played any of them, let me know what your ranking would look like. And I might cover the top games in more detail next, so stay tuned for that.